Hey guys, this is Jacob from Play for Christ Ministry. This is Walk and Talk Series, a Hoop Story, Episode 4. We just learned on how my 8th grade basketball season kind of was a bust and didn't get to play a lot. We lost some games. We didn't win that many. It was fun to actually be on a team, but just couldn't play a lot. Coach had favorites, so that's basically what we just learned about the last episode. This episode is going to be more my high school now, my high school time, and what I've done in my high school career, and how high school really kind of showed me the game of who you like and who you don't like for coaches, and what kind of player can you be. And I think that's something that we're gonna jump into right now. So I went to a middle school for track and I went to Westbrook Middle School for the basketball. We got housing on base, and after that got over. It was basically right before track season. So that's February of 2007. We moved off base to go to Lacey or Olympia, Washington, Lacey and Olympia. And I basically went to Chinook Middle School, got to go and do track and field there, got to have some friends over there. And I basically went to North Thurston High School. So what I did was I got to just go ahead and um, take the city bus. It was probably a good 30 minutes drive to, because my school wasn't my home. North Thurston wasn't my home school. It was River Ridge, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But started in September at North Thurston. Basketball season started like almost in October-ish, and got to try out at North Thurston. I made the team. I was a freshman, made the team, and 2 weeks later, it was more like it was getting really dragging, where I was basically kind of like getting tired and done of taking the city bus and just how the school was. And I'm just like, well, it's River Ridge was a walking distance from my house. So I was like, you know what, let me see if we can transfer me to River Ridge. And because I made the team at North Thurston, let me go ahead and try to get on the team at River Ridge. Well, that worked out. I got to be on River Ridge. So I got in there in November um, at River Ridge, got to actually participate and play ball at River Ridge, and went to my home school. And then when that happened, I basically got on the team. Man, coach had us waking up at like 5 in the morning. You had to be at the school at 5:30 because see, we were the freshmen only, and when you're the freshman, because they had a freshman team, but then they had JV and varsity, and I didn't know that at the time until I figured that out. And then it was like, hey, you're on the freshman team. You guys got to wake up hecka early and basically get your practices done because there's no other, JV and varsity had their afternoon. So we woke up at like 5 in the morning, and we woke up at 5 in the morning, and then our practice started at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and that was crazy. And it was like 6 o'clock to like 7, or 5:30 to basically 7 o'clock. So we had almost a good an hour and a half or something like that, and it was crazy. So we just had to really kind of be like, okay, well, this is what we're doing, and it was fun. It was cool, and I got to play maybe 10, 5 minutes. That coach had favorites. That coach had favorites as well. And this is the time where no, now I'm doing under the legs. I'm doing all this. I'm doing all that. I'm actually flashy now. Like I'm more flashy than what I was because I've learned, watch The Professor. I've watched all these other and ones. And one is ending though. And one was ending their time at that time, anyways. Though in '08, and because it's like '08, '09, '10. I mean, and one was coming, but then I think it was coming to an end too, because I remember that was more like '03, '04, and '05 was really more of and one, and then '06 and maybe '07 they had and one, and then they had some other cats that was playing, and then I think 2010, I think that's when and one really kind of took off and just basically got ended, or 2011 or something like that. I don't know. I have to look, but long story short, and one was going away, and we just kind of, watched more of that because I watched The Professor, Hot Sauce, and all those cats, and Skip to My Lou, and I watched all those dudes, and I remember having VHSs and all that, so it was cool. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. I've been out here since 1 o'clock in the afternoon just hooping. But well, when you guys see this video, this is actually going to be 2025. this is basically past Jacob. You'll see this video in 2026. This is all pre-recorded. Everything's been pre-recorded on this. Just to let you know, all these hoop stories have been pre-recorded because I got everything in my head now. So I was like, let me go ahead and knock this out now. So my 9th grade year, I got to play 10 to 15 minutes. I actually did really good in my last 3 games, and then they called me the freshman baller, where I'm saving, the ball out of people's, like I saved the ball out of balance and gave it to an assist, and then one of my teammates basically made it. And then at that, the JV varsity squad saw me play, and of course that's when my nickname was like the freshman baller, because like I said, I knew how to play. The coach just had his darn favorites, and it was all his baseball boys. He was basically a baseball coach, and then he had maybe 3 to 4 players who were baseball cats. So, of course, you're going to have, or they were brothers of the seniors or juniors. And then, of course, these are the brothers that came to being a freshman. So, of course, he's going to play them because he had those older brothers in his team with baseball or whatever. So this dude wasn't even a basketball coach. He was more of a baseball coach, and he was a loony, and I didn't care for him. So my sophomore year, I didn't play at all. My sophomore year. I didn't play my sophomore year in basketball. I actually went to the YMCA. I did the YMCA sophomore year. My junior year, I took a break. And then my senior year, I went to the YMCA. This coach was actually cool. And now the YMCA is more like a friendly league. And this is actually a league where you can actually ball out and show out. Like, you can do all that. You can ball up and you can show out. And what I mean is the YMCA lets you be free for anything because it's not a competitive. When high school, it's competitive. And that's the reason why I kind of stayed away from high school ball after my freshman year, because I didn't care for I like the competitiveness. But when I'm over here doing some, under the legs, or I'm doing like behind the back layups, and I'm doing all this cool, like, shots and all this, or I get to able to have a free range of shooting. That's what I mean by the thing that I mean by high school ball. Because high school ball is, you want to win a state championship, you want to do all that. And of course, if you get blessed enough to have a coach saying, hey, you can do whatever you want, then okay, be my guest. But see, I didn't have that option. My coaches were lame, and they didn't let me do what I needed to do. But my YMCA coach did. So my senior year, I did YMCA, and it was all these Olympia boys. So they didn't even go to, River Ridge or North Thurston or none of these cats. It was like Olympia or something like that. It was some high school, and they just did the same thing I did. But these cats were basically kind of more like a beginners. They were all like juniors or sophomores, and they were just still trying to get in the game and trying to learn the game too as well. But I'm the only one who was a senior, older. I'm older folk than them, and then I got to teach them a little bit, and then I got to ball out because the coach said, you can do whatever you want. So that was cool. Like, that was something that I loved to do, and that's something that I'm glad that the coach did. And it was fun for me. Like, it was fun because when you get that stuff and you get the green light to do whatever you want, that's when okay, now here's the game that I love. This is the game that I'm kind of passionate. Let me, thank you, coach, for letting me do whatever I want. So he let me shoot threes. He let me drive in. And like I said, half of these YMCA cats were decent, except for this one team. This one team was actually stacked, and we beat them in the scrimmage, but we didn't beat them in game. But they were great. They were a great squad, but they were double teaming me and everything, so they knew who I was. But when it comes into it, it was fun, and I think that's when I kind of felt like, you know what? I'm glad I did the YMCA, because in the YMCA you get to have more fun, and you get to do whatever you want if you get lucky enough to have a coach that really kind of does that. And then I was a leader. The coach was like, hey, you're a leader to these cats. So I was teaching half of these young folks how to play, and it was cool to see that. But it was like the passion was there, and the game was there for me, and I loved it, and I can never really take that for granted. My whole high school time, or my middle school, or my elementary, where we'll wrap this up, where now I'm done with like public school. I'm done with all this. The YMCA only keeps high school cats. I don't even know if they even had a adult league or anything. And I think that's where we kind of just really kind of was like, well, what are we gonna do now? So thank you guys for tuning in, and God bless you guys.